features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
And what a spectacular way to start off your live safari experience, but with an entire herd of very thirsty, yes, good afternoon, very thirsty and very excited elephants. My name is Jamie and this is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You are live, you are live. And hello and welcome on a very special sunset safari experience here with an incredible herd of elephants live from the middle of the African bush. And most especially a very warm welcome to the students at A Point of View Elementary in Mrs. Darwin and Miss Johnson's class. I hope you've all got your safari hats on and you're excited about this incredible experience. We are coming to you live from a special place in the country called South Africa, which is right down south of the African continent, and we're up in the top corner of South Africa on a very, very special place called Djuma Private Game Reserve. And what you're seeing here on your screens with these two elephant bulls playing with each other is happening right here in real life. So anything that you've ever wanted to know about these amazing animals, just ask your teachers or send through your questions and we will be able to answer them. Now this afternoon I have a gentleman called Gendre on camera with me. Now Gendre is quite shy, and perhaps if you're really, really nice to him and maybe ask a good question or get the answer to a quiz right, he might give you a thumbs up. But otherwise, that's all you get to see of Gendre. Let's go straight into the action because we've got an entire herd of elephants here and it is absolutely spectacular. I'll do a proper introduction in a moment and I'll explain it all, but for now I don't want you to miss a moment of these amazing animals. Up until about 10 or so days ago, we would not have seen moments like this. And that's because South Africa's been experiencing a really, really bad drought. We've had no rain and there's been hardly any water for these poor animals. And hardly any food as well, because the plants haven't had water so that they can grow. But we've had a bit of rain. As you can see, there's water in the watering hole and all of the animals are incredibly happy. As you can see, there's elephants here of all ages, and there's actually a couple of different herds all together. A herd of elephants, a breeding herd of elephants, is led by one big female called the matriarch, and then is made up of the matriarch's daughters, her sisters, aunts, cousins, and little babies as well. That's what an elephant herd is actually made up of. When a male elephant reaches about the age of between 13 to 15, he's actually kicked out of his protective family herd and left to make it on his own. And then they turn into these boisterous teenagers, playing with each other, pushing against each other, practicing the fighting skills that they might need when they get to be a little bit older. So that's why these two elephants are fighting. They're not really fighting. They're actually kind of playing. Oh, look how strong you are. Yes, show him how strong you are by leaning your head against the tree. Mrs. Johnson, while we watch these two elephant bulls playing, you wanted to know how many elephants will travel in a group together. It's quite variable. You're usually looking at between about 8 to 20 elephants, but often, like the scene in front of us, lots of different herds and even these young boisterous boys will join together. The one on the left has had enough. He wants to go. So often the herds will join up together because elephants are not territorial. In other words, they don't get cross when there's another group of elephants in their space, and actually they probably all know each other because elephants are very, very intelligent creatures, and they all know each other just like you know the members of your class, your friends, and perhaps your neighbors or anyone living around you. You get to know individual people, your friends. So elephant herds will often come together like this, and who knows what they are saying to each other. Because there's definitely a lot of talking. We heard the elephant trumpet just as I said hello to you all. The big females all standing together. What a special, special moment. It's been a long time since we've had a big group of elephants together like this. And of all ages as well, big ones, small ones. Look at them, stopping to rest a little bit. It's nice and cool today here in South Africa, which is unusual for this time of year. Usually our temperatures are right up over 35 degrees, which is well into the 90s Fahrenheit. But today is nice and cloudy and cool, and as a result, the elephants are feeling pretty happy. That's a big male drinking at the back. And the males often come and visit the elephants, the other elephants, just to enjoy a little bit of company and maybe the chance to meet a lady friend. The elephants have incredibly complex social structures. And as that herd wanders off, one herd has decided to come back towards us. Look at this. They're on their way towards us. Now, I did introduce myself earlier, but it was very quick and I didn't want to take you away from the action for too long. So my name is Jamie and I'll be taking you along with Taylor on a very special game drive experience. So this is what you'd be experiencing if you came as a guest on a safari vehicle. Hello, guys. You big girls. Now, Brendan, you wanted to know how long an elephant can live for, and that's a really good question because they can live almost as long as us as human beings. So in the wild, you're probably looking at between 45 and even up to 60 and older, but usually it's around 45 to 55 years of age that elephants can live up to. So let's say that big female at the back there, she's probably the matriarch of the family. She's the biggest and the oldest. And I know she's old because I can see how her bones are starting to show around her head. And she's the leader of this particular herd. So she tells them where to go. Look at them using their trunks to slurp up the water. And that's because, imagine if an elephant had to get right down into the water. It's a long way for them to put their mouths to drink, so they can't drink like cats and dogs. But they've got a different way. Nature's provided them with a rather strange straw. That amazing trunk. So they're not drinking, if you watch, it's not drinking through the trunk. It's using the trunk to suck up water and then put it in its mouth. Amazing. Now you'll notice when I first had them walking towards us, I started talking to them, and that's because these are wild elephants, and although they're very, very intelligent, it's important to remember that they are much stronger and much bigger than I am. Randy, you want to know how strong an elephant is? Very, very strong. So a big male elephant can weigh over 10,000 pounds, which is 5 times me plus this vehicle and Gendre. That's a lot of muscle and power. So they are capable of pushing down, let's pick a good tree, let's say this tree. They could actually, if they really wanted to, maybe that tree's, no, they could. I've seen them push down trees that size. If they really wanted to, they can reach right up and pull branches down with their powerful trunks. So they are very, very strong. And it's important for us to remember that, and also to remember that this is their home and we are just guests. So whenever you go and visit a friend's house, you're always on good behavior. And we must remember that we must behave well in their home as well. Now, I said that it's not just me taking you out on this wonderful safari experience. There's also another lady called Taylor, and I think she would really like to say a good afternoon.
Hello everybody, we have got some impala in the distance, but before I tell you too much about the impala, I want to introduce myself to you. I have a face, my name is Taylor, and on camera with me we've got VM. There's VM's thumb. Now, welcome again to all of the wonderful children from the Point of View School. Remember, if you've got any questions for me this afternoon or for Jamie, you're welcome to ask either Miss Johnson or Mrs. Darwin, who are going to be hopefully passing on some of the lovely questions. But let's have a look at some of these impala. Let's see if we can find any that aren't hiding behind the trees. There we go. There you can see a few. Now, I know that in the States, you don't have antelope. You have deer. Isn't that correct? Now, we unfortunately don't have any deer in Africa. We have got these strange-looking creatures, which we call antelope. And they're fairly similar. However, one of the main differences is that the male antelope species, they don't get antlers like the deer do. They get horns, and there are a few big male impala walking around here, so I'll show you one just now when we find one, and then I can tell you the difference between the horns and the antlers. But they look very much like Bambi, don't you think? Hello, Madison. Madison, it is currently spring at the moment, so from the 1st of September we get to spring. And then we were going to go into summer soon. Though today is a very cold, miserable day. We had a little bit of rain last night, which we're very excited about because the bush has unfortunately been very dry. Now, I'm hoping that the rest of these impala are going to move out into the open so we can have a better view. But look at that. Now, this is the most common species of antelope that you'll find in Africa. So they're very, very important to the environment. Without them, animals like leopards and lions and hyenas and cheetah, they won't have anything to eat. They form a big part of their diet. So it's very important that we have lots and lots of these impala around all the time. And soon they're going to have babies. You can see these females. So the girl impala don't have any horns. And you can see how fat they are too. So they've got little baby impala inside their bellies. And hopefully in the next 2 or 3 months, we're going to see lots of little baby impala running around, and that's going to be very exciting. You can see they're all pregnant at the same time. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to reverse very quickly because I want to show you a big male impala. So hold on tight and let's quickly reverse. Now the males are quite impressive. Come on, Wendy. Oh, you know what? I'm being very rude. I didn't introduce you to the vehicle that I'm driving. This is Wendy. Wendy's just been to the doctor. And I believe that all of you sitting watching us want to know how often it rains in this area. Now, we haven't had very much rain over the last few years like we should have. I'm just quickly going to reverse and then I'll carry on. No, Impala, don't run away. The lovely children of Point of View want to see you. There we go. Now they're behaving. It's a bit better. So we normally get our first downpour for the year here in September. And then we should get a little bit of rain throughout the entire year, right through to the end of February, sometimes as late as March. So that is the rainy season here. We get a summer rainfall. It's very unusual to have rain during the winter months, so June, July, and August. However, we did have a downpour this year, but the weather is changing. We all know that. Did you manage to see the male impala? Has anybody spotted him yet? I can see him. He's on the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Hello, Luke. Luke, you would like to know how fast these antelope run. Now, impala are very impressive antelope because not only can they run quite quickly, they can jump really high and for long distances as well. I reckon an impala can probably get up to about between 50 and 60 kilometers an hour. I'm not sure what the conversion is in mileage. I'll have to do a little bit of maths and try and work that one out. But anywhere between 50 and 60 kilometers an hour. So it's quite quick. You can see them all munching away now. These animals are very, very excited at the moment because there is a little bit of green grass. Can you see all those lovely green shoots of grass? Oh, and a mongoose. Well spotted, VM. Do you see that little thing popping its head out of the ground? That is a dwarf mongoose. Now you have all seen the smallest carnivore in the Sabi Sands. Now, you probably know what ferrets are. I'm sure you're quite familiar with a ferret. Where did you go, Mongoose? You're hiding behind the tree. Maybe it's going to come out again. Now, they're very similar to ferrets. And this is the smallest species of mongoose that we get in this area. But it seems to be very shy. Obviously not used to the cameras, this one. However, the impala seem to be on their best behavior this afternoon. They must have known you were all watching. Kelly, good afternoon. I hope you're enjoying this. So Kelly wants to know, what do impala eat? Kelly, impala eat a variety of different things. At the moment, they're eating all the nice green grass that's come through, because all the leaves, unfortunately, are dry and bitter. They don't taste very nice. So they are now feeding on the grass. But they eat a bit of everything. They eat grass, they eat the leaves, they'll eat little fruit if it's available. So they are sort of mixed feeders. They feed on everything. You can see that one hiding behind the trees. Well, I think we're going to leave these impala now, and I'm hopefully going to find you a cat with some spots. That's my goal for this afternoon. And while I continue searching for a spotted cat, perhaps a leopard, let's go over to Jamie and see how she's doing.
We are still with our amazing elephants, standing up on the top of a hill. We're parked right down at the bottom, so we're basically looking up at them. Now, elephants are one of my absolute favorite animals to spend time with, and I think the biggest reason is just because they're always so incredibly intelligent. So their brains are absolutely massive, bigger than ours, 3 times the size. Look at this. You see them greeting each other, putting the trunk up against this, into the mouth, and then up against the forehead, or at least the temporal region, which is where elephants can actually secrete a type of scent that tells the other animals how they're feeling, whether they're males or females, whether they're ready to mate and have babies or whether they're not. There's a whole host of information that elephants communicate to each other through a sense of smell and through their body language. Now, Luke, you wanted to know, how do they blow their trunks and make a noise? Well, actually, they kind of use their trunks. I don't know if any of you play a musical instrument. Perhaps you played the drums before, or maybe even some of you have played an instrument that you have to blow into. You know that there's something called a resonating chamber, which is basically a big open space where the sounds can vibrate with each other, and it makes the sound bigger and louder. So an elephant's trumpet actually originates just like me talking to you here in their larynx, and then they start to go and when they, sorry, I know that was a pretty bad elephant impression. That was pretty bad. I want to hear your best elephant impressions at some point. I think we'll do that in a moment. But essentially, because I don't have a trunk, I can't make that noise. But there's a lot of big open spaces around the trunk, and it basically acts to magnify the sound, kind of like a trumpet. Those of you who've played a trumpet or maybe a flute, you've got the way that the tube, whatever it is, vibrates and makes the sound. That's what an elephant trumpet is. Right. Now, I've done my best elephant impression, and I can't do it too loudly because there's still lots of elephants wandering about, and I don't want to frighten them. Or, perhaps because I don't speak elephant, insult them by saying the wrong thing. But, on the count of 3, ready? Are you ready to do your best elephant impression? I want you to do it. Right. 1, 2, 3. Everybody trumpets. I'm just imagining what that must be like, and I hope you're all giving a really, really good elephant trumpet, because that mine wasn't very good. Jean-Andre, do you want to do one? No, he says no. See, I told you, Jean-Andre's quite shy. No, still not very good, is it? Oh well, at least I'm not an elephant. Now I want to show you something to give you an idea of just how big an elephant really is. And this was done using computers and using Photoshop. And I'm going to show it to you once I've got a nice view of the elephants. But essentially what one of our wonderful tree, and after he walked away, I went and stood next to the tree, and then what our viewers all did is they put my picture over next to the elephant, so it looks like I'm standing next to the elephant. And let's do it here, because our Ellies, I'm just going to wait for them to move slightly more out into the open, and then I'll get them for you. But look how big this elephant really looks. So just to give you an idea of how big an elephant is, because it's hard when you're looking through the eyes of a camera. Look here. That's me, and that's an elephant. That's how massive they are. His trunk at the top there is wider than my body. They are absolutely enormous. So there you go. That's just how big an elephant truly is. So that's a big male. Here's a beautiful male. Now, of course, not all elephants are big. Some of them, as you saw, are still quite small. Brandon, you want to know what baby elephants do in the herd? Well, the answer is they're looked after really, really very well. So a baby elephant, when it's born, is totally reliant on its mom. It's only 100 kilograms, so it's small. That's 220 odd pounds when it's born. That's positively tiny when you're an elephant. They can't even use their trunk yet. It's like a toddler using its hand. It kind of flops all over the place and doesn't really work too well. And then you know how you have to learn to write and catch things? Baby elephants have to do exactly the same. I'm going to find you a baby elephant. That's what we'll do. So basically, they don't do much, but they're really, really important because the whole herd looks after a baby elephant. So, of course, mom will look after her baby, but so will the older sister, the older brother, the cousins. And in fact, young females even practice babysitting little babies so that when they have their own baby, it's not such a shock. They know what to do. They basically learn. There's a little one. See, he hasn't even grown his tusks yet. Are you playing hard to get, little elephant? Are you hiding? Come on, we want to see you. 'Cause you're very cute. Isn't it cute? I think baby elephants are one of the cutest baby animals. And Kenley, you want to know, what do elephants eat? Well, watch what this baby elephant's doing. See how he's using his trunk and his foot? And he's not very good at it, because remember I told you babies haven't quite learnt their coordination just yet. Oh dear, it isn't working, is it, little one? Oh no, he's trying to grab that tree so he can eat it. Oh, that wasn't the whole tree, that was just a leaf. Given up now. So elephants eat plants, and only plants. So up until relatively recently, all they had to eat was trees because there was no grass, because we'd had no rain. But now they can eat leaves and bark and tree roots and bulbs that they dig up and grass. They finally get to have a little more exciting diet. They don't just have to eat the same boring tree bark day after day. Finally, they can actually eat something yummy and green. Must be very exciting if you're an elephant. And they're all playing. They're shy. They're taking a leaf out of Gendre's book. I said that the whole herd protects the babies, and the whole herd is a force to be reckoned with. Imagine lots and lots of elephants trying to run at you or attack you. What's happening here? Aha. Aha. Listen. And this is the answer to Ahmed's question. What animals would hunt an elephant? There's only one animal that hunts an elephant, and that is a lion. And that's why this monkey is sitting on the top of the tree going, go, 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 go. Because there are lions just down there. And I know they're lions because they were there this morning. And that is why that monkey is so upset. And these elephants are going straight towards them. Now, lions hardly ever hunt elephants. It's very unusual because it's incredibly dangerous for them to do. And it's only in places like Botswana, where they don't have very much food, that the lions actually learn. Okay, the lions are on the move. We can see the impala. You were looking at them with Taylor earlier. They're also calling. They're starting to get scared. They know that they must listen to the monkey because the monkey has the best eyesight in the bush. And now they're calling. So all of the animals that could be preyed upon by the predators work together in harmony to warn each other. Come, do you want to go see lions? I want to go see lions. Let's go and see them. Now, the lions are not going to hunt our elephants. They don't need to. There's lots of other things for them to eat. But they're going to be a bit scared because they've actually got 8 tiny little babies with them. And the elephants will chase them if they can. Hello, big girl. Do you mind if I come past? Please? Hello, big girl. Hi. Hello. I'm coming slowly, slowly. Thank you, big girl. Here we go, see? Okay. Oh! 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 Are you chasing me, little one? Little baby elephant? Oh, you're so naughty. You're so naughty. Yes, you're very scary. Can you see them? No. It's okay, big girl. They're going to chase the lion straight across towards us. Did you see them run, Jandre? Going in. Okay. Everybody, look, you keep your eyes peeled. Okay. I'm going to go find these lions for you. Let's head across to Taylor and see what feathered friend she's got.
Look at what we've got over here. Now, Chase, I believe that you were looking for some birds and you're wondering what types of birds we get in this area. Now, if you have a look very carefully, you can see that one that we're looking at. He's got a bright orange head. This is a male Coqui Francolin, and it's actually a very special Francolin to see in this area. And we normally see lots of common ones, but we don't always see the Coquis. And if we're lucky, we may get to hear them call. There is a female with this male somewhere around here, and I don't know where she's gone. Oh, there she is. There's the female, so you can see she hasn't got as bright of an orange head. Now, with the birds, I'm sure it's the same where you live, is that it's the males, it's the boys that do the hard work, and they've got to be all pretty and have a nice voice to try and attract the females. So there they are. They like to peck through all that elephant dung that you can see, and they'll eat little things like termites. So, Chase, we get quite a number of species of birds in this area, and it's very exciting to hear that you're excited by the birds. And we get just under 300 different species of birds in the Sabi Sands here in South Africa. But in total, we've got about 850 odd birds in Southern Africa. That's a lot of birds, eh? Now, we won't, unfortunately, be able to see them all, but we've seen one of them, and like I said, we've seen a very special one. So these little birds, they're very simple birds in the sense that they make their nests on the ground. They don't build a nest in a tree, and it's a very, very simple nest too. It's just a little scrape on the ground, under perhaps a little tree for some shelter, and then they will lay their little eggs. Very small eggs too. You can see them pecking on the ground. Yes, Coqui Francolin, like a Coqui that you would write with. I suppose we in South Africa we call them Coquis. I'm not sure. I'm trying to think. Not pokey with a P, Coqui with a C. So C-O-C-Q-U-I, Coqui. That's how you spell it. So it's a funny name of a bird, and that's because of its call, everyone. So I'm turning the radio down. It's sort of, when it does its proper call, it goes, Coqui, Coqui, Coqui. Not like that in bird language, obviously. I don't do very good bird calls. But let's see if we can have one more look at them. I think we can possibly sneak a view. I think that female is going to come back out again. Yeah, there's one. The male's just to the right. The female's going to come out as well. Where are you? She's just behind the bushes. Can you see her moving there? Look how well she blends in as well. And now when you are living on the ground like this, it's very important that you have good camouflage. You've got to be able to blend into the environment, to all the grass and the trees very well. Otherwise, you're going to have something like a big eagle come through and swoop you up and pick you up off the ground. So they're very, very good at hiding, and they can run really fast. They can also fly, but they fly very much like a chicken. So they don't fly for very far and very high. And sometimes, if they don't have a nest, they will actually sleep in the trees. There we go. Now you can see the female quite nicely. Now what you should do is you must ask either Mrs. Darwin or Miss Johnson to maybe try and take some screenshots from her computer, from their computers, and then hopefully they'll be able to share some of these photos with you too, so you can remember it. We're getting the evil eye from Madam Coqui Francolin. Now, I said to you earlier that it was a little bit chilly today and we were having some bad weather. And I know Jaden was wondering, do we get any tornadoes in Africa? And where do the animals go when the weather is bad? Now, Jaden, we don't get tornadoes, though there have been a few in South Africa around the Johannesburg area, which is one of the big cities. Very unusual, but like saying, the weather is changing all over the world. And where do the animals go when it's bad weather? Well, everywhere. They hide away under trees. They don't have a house or anything to go into like we do. So they've got to make use of sort of natural shelters. So under a big tree, if it's a small little mongoose like we saw, perhaps down into a termite mound or into some crevices, some holes in the rocks, anything like that. So big fallen trees that the elephants push over. Sometimes it's really good that they're pushing things over like that because it creates homes for animals to hide under. For instance, those Coqui francolins, that would be a good spot for them to hide, is under a fallen tree that would provide shelter from the wind. Now, the animals don't mind the rain too much, but if it's torrential rain, so if it's raining really, really heavily, then everybody's going to try and stand in some thick bushes just to try and hide away, but they don't like the wind very much. Now, the wind is their worst. Luckily, we don't have too much wind today, but what the wind does is it affects their hearing and their sense of smell, because the wind is swirling and they can't hear very well, and also they can't pick up where the different smells are coming from, and then they feel very threatened. They start to panic. All of the animals haven't got good eyesight like what we do, so they rely heavily on their sense of smell and their hearing. Amazing, right? How nature just is able to adapt to everything. We're going to carry on from these birds, and Chase, I'm going to be looking out for a few more birds as we go along. I'd like to try and find you some hornbills too. Now, if you remember Zazu from The Lion King, I'm sure you've all watched The Lion King. That is who Zazu is. So we're going to try and find one of the hornbill species for you this afternoon. And they don't seem to mind this weather too much. I saw a few flutting around. I'm so excited, everybody. I'm not going to tell you what Jamie's got, but jump onto the back of her vehicle. She's got a little surprise for you.
Look at this.
Glossy starling. It's not very nice. Oh.
This program features
Look at what we've got here, and I apologize for that brief moment where we disappeared, but we are back once again. And look at this. The monkeys and the impala definitely have a very, very good eyesight, because here is a whole pride of lions, including that adorable little cub and one sleeping mom next to it. The rest of the cubs, look closely and you'll see them hiding there with the adult lionesses. Look there, peekaboo. Yes, we see you, little ones. Aren't these little lion cubs just amazing? So 8 little lion cubs and 3 adult females. What a beautiful sighting. Now, luckily for us, the elephants didn't spot the lions. They don't have eyesight that is as good as the monkeys and the impala, so they didn't see the lions, and that's good, because otherwise they might have chased them away and we might not have had a chance to see them. As it was, they just moved away from the area without seeing them, and so we get to enjoy the sighting of a very sleepy lioness. Look at her dozing away. Now, this particular group of lions is called the Nkuhumas. That's a very hard word to say. I know there was a question about whether or not we speak only English, and the answer is no. Nkuhuma, the name of these lions, comes from a language called Shangaan, which is one of the local languages here in South Africa. And Bobby, you were asking about that. So in Shangaan, Nkuhuma means a brown ivory tree. And it's just one of the many different languages that is the official language of South Africa. We've actually got 11 official languages. So back to our lions. They are doing what lions do best during the day. Oh, so tired. Did you see that big yawn? They're doing what lions do best, which is sleeping. Now, normally there's actually 5 adult females with this particular group, and I think that's why the impala was so upset, and the monkey as well. I think 2 of them have got up to move a little way into some very, very thick bushes. And that's what got the impala and the monkey so upset, because they've been probably lying here all day. Sorry everybody, just listening to the sounds of the bush, making sure I've got everything right and that the lionesses haven't disappeared. Now, Jerry, I'm really hoping, because it's not too cold, that the lions will play and show you the answer to your question, because yes, they do play. And generally it's the cubs that jump all over each other and tumble around and grab each other, basically practicing their hunting. But the adult lionesses also play with each other sometimes, not as often as the little ones, but they'll often batter each other and jump on top of each other, and it's part of the way of reinforcing the bonds between them, and also at the same time it's making sure that they stay in practice for when they do go hunting. So our little lion cubs, we've been treated to many scenes, and unfortunately I was hoping we might be able to see them slightly better, but we can't. Sadly, this is as good a view as we're going to get. Our little lion cubs have treated us so amazing sightings. Now, Madison and Brandy, hello, I hope you are having an amazing morning. You want to know, what do lions eat? Well, the answer to that is they eat meat. Lions can only eat meat. Sometimes they nibble on a little bit of grass every now and again, but that's only because they're not feeling well. So lions will go and hunt things like buffalo. The impala that we saw would definitely be on their menu. Some of the antelope species. Lots of different animals out here. Zebra, wildebeest. They will track them down and hunt them. Now, it might seem like it's really cruel, but lions can't go to the grocery store, or they can't go shopping and just buy some meat at the store. They have to go and find their own. And even these tiny little cubs, they're not ready to hunt yet, but they are already eating meat. They sometimes drink milk from mom, but they've already got the teeth and the claws that they need to feed off a kill. So that's what lions eat. And these ladies are, oh look there, you can see those fierce sharp teeth. Oh, come on little ones, it's nice and cool today. Maybe you should hop up and start playing with each other. Another big yawn, look at those sharp teeth. Now for these little cubs, it depends on whether or not they are boys or girls. Look, he's getting up. Whether or not they will stay with the pride for their whole lives. So females will never leave. They'll stay with their moms and their aunts and their sisters, and all of the females in a lion pride are related. Sort of like what we saw with the elephants. Ah, you're just going to hide in some denser vegetation, aren't you? But the males, on the other hand, when they become teenagers and they're ready to leave, then they leave the pride, often together with a brother or a cousin, but with the other males of their age, and they go off and they survive on their own. And it's only when they're big enough and they're strong enough, when they're fully grown, oh look, she's got her head up, that they will be able to fight for a territory and therefore be able to make babies of their own. Which lioness is this now? Don't you think she's beautiful? Now the whole class would like to know, apparently. I said that lions lie around a lot. You wanted to know if they sleep. And yes, they do. They can sleep up to 20 hours a day, on and off. But let's be fair to these lions, because they sleep during the day, but at night they often spend a lot of time and a lot of energy moving distances, and these lionesses have so many hungry mouths to feed that they've got to take their rest when they can. So yes, lions are champion sleepers, especially during the day. One of the big reasons behind that is that they get very, very hot, and they have to lie in the shade so that they don't do too much and get themselves too hot. They can't sweat like we can, so they can't cool down as easily. And they're very big animals. How much do you think this lioness weighs? How big do you think she is? See if you can guess how many pounds she might be. How many me's do you think one lioness would, many times do you have to times my weight by to equal a lioness? And apart from her massive muscly body, Mrs. Johnson, you wanted to know how big are the lion's teeth? Now, they are absolutely massive. And a lioness's canine, and I've been fortunate enough to see lion canines once the animal has actually died of natural causes. A lion's canine is probably about as long as my finger. The root underneath it is at least that, probably a little bit more. So all in all, from the top of the canine right to the bottom of the root, it's probably, what's that, about 4.5 inches, possibly even more. The answer is very, very big. Now bear with me one moment. I'm just going to shift out of the way. There is somebody else here with guests enjoying an incredible real life safari, so we need to just move away so that they can get past us. And then the best thing about that is that we're going to have a really good view, because we can go and sit where they were sitting. Now the one nice thing that we see after the rain, just while we make some space, let's try not to drive Gendre into a thorn tree. I don't think he'd like that very much. Chase, you wanted to know whether or not there are animals that hibernate here in South Africa. Sort of, but not 100% because of the cold. So animals that hibernate, like your bears and other little creatures, maybe some squirrels, they actually hibernate so that, because it's cold, it's so cold and there's no food. Out here in South Africa, our animals do what's known as estivation, and that's because it's dry, there's no water. So frogs go into estivation, even certain types of fishes can, tortoises or reptiles, snakes, all kinds, and even certain insects, but none of the mammal species do. Sorry, I'm just waving because there's a couple of guests there that are coming past. Shall we go get the best view? I think we should go get the best view quickly. Let's go see if maybe that spot isn't a little bit better. And perhaps because it's cold today, the lion cubs might not be too sleepy, and maybe they'll get up and play. Hello, little ones. Oh, you're so cute. Look at that. All 4 of them all clustered together. Sorry, I'm wrong. There's 5 of them lying there. All of different ages. Aren't they beautiful? We've been lucky enough to actually watch some of these lions since they were a couple of days old. Copy that. You're welcome to make your way in. So we've almost been able to see them grow up. Look at those bright, curious eyes. All the learning that they have to do. They're only a couple of months old, and already 2 of them actually got lost and made their way away from the Pride and managed to survive for 2 days before they got back to the rest of their siblings and their moms and their cousins. Oh, look at them. This is one of the oldest lion cubs, but you can see one of the smallest ones sleeping at the back. That little one on the left, look, it's so sleepy. We're going to have to keep our voices down so we don't keep them awake. Now, Christian, you want to know, where are the male lions? Well, some of these cubs are actually males, but I know what you mean. Where are the big male lions, the fathers of these cubs with their big manes? And the truth is, Christian, you might have this idea, especially if you've watched the movie The Lion King, that a male lion stays with a pride the whole time. And that's not actually how it works. So a pride is just made up of females, and the big male lions and the daddies of these little cubs, they have a very important job to do by patrolling a territory. So they move around the boundaries of an area and make sure that no other big scary male lions come in. So they're not here at the moment. Sometimes we see them, and then the cubs get to play with them, jump on their manes, pull their manes, and sometimes they come and share the lioness's food. But the daddies are not here at the moment, so they often walk around on their own or with their buddies, so with their coalition members, their brothers or their cousins, to help protect these little cubs. So male lions are not really hands-on dads, but they've still got a very, very important job to do. Well, unfortunately, everybody, it is a time for me to say goodbye. But I really, really hope that for those of you who are at Point of View Elementary in Mrs. Darwin's and Miss Johnson's class, I hope you had an amazing time, and I hope that fly doesn't go down my throat. I hope that you're inspired to love lions and all the other wild creatures as much as we do. Until I see you next time, bye-bye and have a lovely day at school. And for our regular viewers, I think it's time to hop on back with Taylor and see what she's up to.
We have found a herd of zebra lurking in the bushes, just hiding away, eating all that lovely new green grass that's coming through. And we've got a zebra sneaking behind us. VM, it thinks it can make its way around without getting seen. Should we reposition? Let me swing my bum quickly. We can roll. Should I do that? Is that better? Now we're going to catch the zebra out in the open. It's been trying to avoid us, but we'll get it. Here you come. You're going to come out into the middle of the road shortly. Aha, gotcha. You know, these pesky zebras, whenever I seem to see them, they're never out in the open. They're always hiding behind all the trees. The others seem to be coming quite close to us now. They're looking much better now. They seem to be behaving again. Let's see if we can get their heads through there. I may have to go just a little bit forward for you. Let me go forward a little bit. Hello, Wendy. There we go. That's a little bit better. Still hiding behind the trees, but a slight improvement. A little bit of grooming, a little bit of nudging. I haven't had a good look just yet because they have all been hiding behind the bushes. And then I failed to take notice if the zebra that walked behind us was a male or a female. But there's just a few of them here. There are only about 6 or 7 in this area. So we haven't been seeing particularly big herds of zebra. Possibly because there isn't very much food around. And hopefully once we get a really good covering of grass on the ground, like on quarantine areas, perhaps we'll start to see bigger herds coming through. But for the moment, we're seeing lots and lots of predators, which is fantastic. But hopefully the herbivores are going to have their chance to flourish again when the rainy season decides to arrive. It's just sort of teasing us for the moment. They seem very relaxed, which is nice. They were a bit nervous when we first got here. But I suppose now that we're here, they're all right. That one that is looking away, not this one, I didn't see, that was a stallion. Perhaps this might just be a batchet herd. We've been seeing actually quite a few of those, more so than all the breeding herds. I wonder where all the breeding herds have disappeared to. Lots of boys around, stallions. Remember, we are on a live safari, everybody. And if you'd like to get hold of myself or Jamie for a little chat, you're welcome to, and I look forward to some questions. You can either hashtag Safari Live, or you can even send us an email, questions@WildEarthTV. And we really do look forward to having a chat with all of you watching at home, getting to know you all a bit better. Now, this one that we're looking at now looks like a stallion too, so I'm going to concur and say that this is definitely a little bachelor herd of zebra. And isn't it quite nice to see some nice new green leaves popping out on the various trees? Very nice. I'm very excited. We saw all the Mapani pomegranates this morning that were lovely and yellow. I've already seen some of the Mapani pomegranates wilting. Oh, that zebra has no tail. Stumpy. That's unfortunate. That is probably the worst thing that could happen to an animal, is to lose their fly swatter. Imagine not having hands or anything to swat the flies away. That is terrible, especially on those hot, humid days. Today, the zebra is getting away with it, though I know there was one fly attacking Jamie, but I think it was the only fly that is out on the Sabi Sands today. The rest of them seem to be hiding away because it's a little bit on the chilly side. It's very pleasant now, though. No wind, a very, very little breeze. And it is actually quite lots of cloud cover, but it doesn't look very thick. I was hoping that we were going to get some more rain tonight, but I don't think so. And we don't have Downpour Dave this afternoon. He didn't predict any weather for us. There we go. Now you can see what a good fly swatter should look like on the back of that zebra. Now looking at just at these stallions in this herd, they've obviously come together now to regroup and re-strength until the next breeding season, which will be next year. Well, most of the mares will already be in foal. Now, Andreen, I know you were wondering this afternoon, what is the average lifespan of a zebra? It's very much like a horse. So if any of you are familiar, it's quite varied. Some horses can live to 20. I've even had a horse that I sold on and believe is doing very well. And he is quite an old chap now. And I've even heard of horses living up to 30. But I would put an estimation at not more than about 23 to 25 years for a zebra. They are tough characters in the bush. They are extremely resilient. They've got a very good long life ahead of them. They age very much like horses. But everybody is thoroughly happy that there's nice green grass around. Except, unfortunately, that the grass doesn't seem to be growing any longer now. Some of it's already starting to look like it's wilting a little bit. So we need another downpour of rain just to give this grass another boost and to get it to grow a few more inches. Otherwise, the animals are just going to eat it all up, and then we're going to start again from zero and have to work our way up again, which we don't want. I've got another vehicle coming, everybody. I'm going to have to move very quickly off the road. But let's perhaps see what else is out in the bush this afternoon. So I'm just going to move off the road very quickly and let this vehicle pass. Wendy's still a little bit sick apparently. Hello.
How's it?
Very well, and you? No, thanks. Got some of the Sabi Sand Voltane employees. I'm just popping past. So that was Willem. Everybody, I know you didn't get to see him, but he heads up some of the anti-poaching team. So they do a fantastic job. Sorry, Wendy's not well yet. She should have been booked off a few days. And you heard me say Voltane. The direct translation to that is wild garden, really. And it's just really the area, the Sabi Sands, we've given that name. They're like our governing body, I suppose you could call them. So they are responsible for employing people who will be working in the anti-poaching team and looking after the various animals and making sure that everything stays nice and safe out here. The real hard workers behind the scenes that we never really get to see. So we're just bumbling along. We are definitely looking for some leopards. I'm hoping to pick up on some tracks though. I haven't seen any leopard tracks just yet. And unfortunately we did follow up on Karula's tracks from this morning that Brent and I were looking hard for. And unfortunately she snuck out. She snuck south out of our property, which is unfortunate, but perhaps it won't be long until she comes back again. She knows that there's lots of food here. But I have a feeling, and I'm hoping it's a good feeling, if we will see Tingana tonight, because he's been gone for a few days, so possibly he's going to come around. Oh, everybody, elephants! Well, that was nice of them. Hello, elephant. There's just mom and calf that I can see so far in the distance. Sorry, I parked on a big bump because they're disappearing behind some trees. I just parked a little bit higher so we could look down onto them. Just 2 elephants. Where's the rest of the family? And off they go into Buffelshoek. Now, I suspect that there could possibly be more elephants that have maybe crossed the road already and moved on into the distance. And I know that John from Toronto was wondering if we could tell the difference between the different herds. Now, John, to a point, yes, we can. I'm going to move forward because I think we could get another shot of these elephants before they disappear. Just going to go a little bit further on. So, John, most of the elephants, the matriarchs, sort of the biggest and the most experienced or the oldest elephant in a herd, you can typically try and remember them. Oh, there's an entire herd here. Let's see if we get another gap. You can see some more in the drainage. And you look for key identifying features. So one of the things being the shape and the length of the tusk. I was chatting this morning how I saw a female, she was quite unusual, where her tusk grew straight down and then bent back towards her, almost like a fish hook, if you can imagine the end of a fish hook. And obviously very unusual, and you don't see something like that too often. So when we see her come round, we obviously associated her with her herd. There was another female that had the longest tusks that I've ever seen on a female elephant, and she'd come through every now and then. So yes, we can. However, it could be that we could see a herd once and then we not see them for a very long time before they come through again. Now I'm just trying to find a little gap as to where we're going to get the best look at these Ellies. They're hiding away in some thick stuff, just in the drainage. It's so difficult. Maybe that's a little gap through there. How's that gap? Did we just make it? We just made it in between the trees. It's very thick here on the drainage. This is sort of where the densest vegetation is along these drainage lines, and everything is now looking lovely and green. And I suspect that lots of these elephants are going to start to feed on all these nice green leaves that are coming through, and not have to worry about eating the guarri trees or the silver cluster leaves anymore, because those unfortunately were not the tastiest plants to feed on. Though, what are they eating? They better not be eating a guarri tree. I've just said that they shouldn't. No, they're not. They're eating something else from the ground. And we all know that the guarri trees have got a very high tannin content and are very bitter. Some of you remember the face I pulled when I tasted a guarri leaf for you. It was very unpleasant. It tastes like sour grape skins. It's not good at all. Now we're just seeing the rump of an elephant disappearing down into a drainage. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get a better view. They all seem to be coming down here into this little area. Let me go a little bit forward. We'll roll Wendy, seeing as she's still a little bit ill. Oh, here we go. Here's a tiny gap. You wouldn't think that... Oh, wow, did you hear that? That is an entire tree being pushed over in the distance. I don't know if you heard the crashing and the crunching. Unfortunately not by this elephant that we're watching. Now, Eileen wants to know, what are there any, is there any chance of a poacher perhaps using the frequency from the collar of a tagged animal, so whether it's an elephant, rhino, I suppose, or even a wild dog? And yes, of course there's that opportunity, but often those coordinates are kept absolute secret, locked up in a safe, and only a few people have access to those coordinates, especially if they're on something like rhinos. I know when I was down in the Eastern Cape, we used to put GPS collaring around all the rhinos' ankles and on one of the ankles, and that's how we would monitor them, the anti-poaching team. But nobody else had access to those coordinates other than the owners and the head of anti-poaching. And I think it's a good way, especially if you've got an area where it's very, very thick and you can't access all those places with vehicles. For instance, the Eastern Cape of South Africa, so the southeast coast, has the oh my goodness, what is wrong with me? I can't even think of the biome that I'm about to tell you about. The Albany thicket biome. Sorry everybody, my brain went to sleep then, couldn't remember what I was trying to tell you about. Now that comprises of small evergreen shrubs. No tree, or very few trees, probably about 5 or 6 different species, and there goes another tree as we're talking about them. And lots of valleys, mountains and rivers, and some places are so thick you can't even walk in there. And that's why we ended up doing that, just to be able to monitor all the different animals. So that helped us out a lot. This elephant is standing in a bank, obviously feeding quite happily now on whichever tree she decided to push over. But look how still she's standing. If you had to drive past that, you wouldn't even see her. She just looks like... This is me, how these different colors blend in so well. Look at that. You can't even see her. I mean, you could just be driving, sort of bumbling, humming a song, and you would completely miss her. Unless you were being very quiet, and then you could hear all the noise that they were making. Goes a little one down to join in on the feast of the tree that we cannot see anymore. I don't think we will. Well, we can try. Let's try go into the drainage. We'll try and go stealth mode and look back down. Possibly we get a better view, but I'm not 100% certain. Right, while I try and find a better view of these elephants, see if those lions.
Now, for now, we have this incredible view of these wonderful little lion cubs. And we don't need to worry too much about improving our position. We've probably got the best one in the house. And what a stunning view it is. And little lion cubs are starting to poke their heads up, starting to groom and scratch and have a little lick and think about moving. Hello, little one. Grooming each other. And perhaps before we have to leave, we'll have a chance to watch them. I love the one on the branch. I'm sorry, that's just too adorable for words. Look at you! What a perfect pillow. It's because the ears are so flopped forward at that angle and to the side. It looks like a cartoon lion. Too sweet. Our cubs are definitely stirring. Oh, here goes one to its, I don't know if it's mother or aunt, or it's hard to keep track of all of our different moms. It's definitely one of the lactating lionesses, and it's attracting a certain amount of attention from this little hungry creature. And the lionesses are more and more in demand. I know that they weren't terribly impressed with their cubs this morning. And it will be because they're also starting to stop lactating. At some point in the not too distant future, these little cubs will have to be fully weaned. And they're hungry. They're little growing cubs. It's amazing the speed at which they grow. Look how lanky this one's looking. It's almost at that teenage point. Okay, no luck with one. Let me try this one. Maybe you'll let me have some milk. No? Yes? Oh dear. Not interested in your attentions, huh? So a largely Unsuccessful little lion cub. No milk for you. On to the next lioness, perhaps? Yes? A tentative sniff. A gentle approach, so as to avoid getting a smack or a snarl. Nope. Okay. I'm going to go and stand on everyone. Stand on all my cousins and my brothers and my sisters. Yes, I'm just going to put myself right here in the middle. Espen, you wanted to know what would be the biggest threat for these young Nkuhumas. The biggest threat would be a strange male lion or a male lion coalition taking over. So not the Birmingham boys, but another unrelated coalition of males. If they were to kick the Birmingham boys out, then these cubs would probably not stand a chance. They would almost definitely all be killed unless by some miracle their moms managed to get them out and to somewhere safe. But that's usually when a male lion coalition comes in, as happened when the Birmingham boys took over from the Matimba males. They killed all of the Styx cubs. That would be their biggest threat. And then, probably their second biggest threat, as we've seen at least with the Styx cubs, was their mange infection. I wouldn't have said that a couple of months ago. Oh, hello. I'm going to come and join you. I'm going to lie on top of all of you because I'm big. Is that Amber? I thought it was, but I'm not 100% sure. Yes, I think it is. Oh, big yawn. So, unfortunately, very, very sadly, we lost most of the cubs from another pride called the Styx Pride to an outbreak of mange, which apparently they have struggled with for many, many generations, which is not something I realized up until recently. Now, I know that some of you have noticed some balding patches on the Nkuhumas. This little one, for example, behind its ears, it's pretty much, there's no getting around it. It's definitely got some scabby spots. Oh, bye. It heard me talking about its scabby spots and got shy. That's not necessarily mange. I know, Michael, you were wondering about the Nkuhumas and the mange. The rest of them are all looking healthy. It's just that one individual. I'm going to be hopeful and say that it might be caused by something else, but it is starting to look patchy. I'm really hoping, though, that it's not due to mange, because it doesn't seem to be itchy or lacking in strength, so it might be something, maybe perhaps a fungal infection, perhaps biting flies have targeted its ears. Yes, little one, you're causing us much concern. I hope you know. Yes. Hello, baby. Emma, you wanted to know, do we perform medical intervention at all? Yes, we do, but only in a situation where the situation is caused by man. In other words, if it's man-inflicted in some way, then the animal will receive treatment and intervention. Oh dear, stop it, stop scratching. Please don't scratch. Coming to investigate what its sibling's doing. We can't, it's a policy of the Sabi Sand to not interfere unless it is an absolutely critically endangered animal in South Africa. I must clarify. But in South Africa itself, or where the injury has been induced by mankind, if it's a snare or something, or something terrible like a bullet wound, then they will interfere. But when it comes to natural, don't you start, when it comes to natural diseases, natural events, we don't interfere. And the reason that we don't is because conservation is a very, very holistic thing. It's a very holistic approach, and it's about the conservation of a species as a whole, not just individuals. And for that reason, you've got to let nature play out as she's done for many hundreds of years. And nature has a way of doing things much better than we do. So if, for example, we interfered and we protected each and every single lion, they would outcompete things like leopards and cheetah and wild dog, and we'd have none of them. What we have learned over what conservationists have learned over many, many decades, is that often our well-intended actions have unforeseen side effects. It's also to do with genetics as well, and favouring the best genetic line. But it's difficult. I understand that it's difficult. It's a difficult pill to swallow. And it does very much depend upon where you are. Oh, such a snarly girl. Battering forward at one of the cubs. Yes, they're waking up. Are you all awake? Climbing all over each other. They're doing the lioness tour. One of them goes to one and checks, and then back to the next, and to the next, and to the next, and then another little cub comes and repeats the entire process. Starting to make little begging sounds. And movements. And the others have moved to amber eyes, where they are definitely not going to have any luck. She's such a cool aunt. Oh, we've all arrived now. Feed us, please. We're awake now. We don't care that you weren't. We want... Oh, shame. Listen to the sounds. Mum's not having any of it. This interaction is amazing to watch. See their body language and how they read expressions. Oh, capitulation. But I still love you, even if you're snarling at me. Come, let me wipe that snarl off your face. If she looked at me like that, I'd be terrified. The weaning process is beginning. Look at them all. There you go, Emma. I don't want to speak too much just because of the amazing sounds they're making. You want to know when the weaning process is starting? Well, it's now. She might be the mother of one of the oldest set of cubs, in which case her cubs are nearly 5 months old, or close to 5 months old. So now is the time to wean them. By the time they're 6 months old, they'll be completely weaned. Oh. We might find the mother of the youngest cubs will lactate a little bit longer. Oh, such begging. She's not responding to it, but the other lioness has. As she lies back down, see what I mean? Some of them are going to lactate for longer just because they had their cubs later. But the weaning process is starting now, properly starting now, around 5 months of age. Amazing how she responded, even though they weren't... Sorry. I'm giggling. Amber Eyes just sneezed and she gave herself such a fright. And now she just looks really embarrassed. Big stretch. Yes, girl, that was you. I don't think I've ever sneezed and given myself a fright, Chandra, have you? No, that's quite special, Amber. Yes, go stick your head in a guarri bush. In shade. Yes. Sorry to drag you away from the cubs, I just had to show you that particular spot. Now we've got 3 lionesses, one of which is Amber Eyes, which means that at least one of the cubs' mothers is missing. Not missing, I mean she's just not here. Potentially gone out hunting, because these lionesses are hungry looking. They could definitely use a meal. Big yawn. Usually the prelude to getting up. Yep, got you, Mom. Got weight. Yeah, definitely some empty bellies here. And they're gonna have to go out tonight and go off in search of dinner. One last little one remains behind. You can still hear them begging, and the lioness is snarling at them. Come on, little one, off you go. Off you pop, catch up. Hey, I got a stick. I love their bright faces. You've been left behind, little one. I know that stick was great fun to play with. Chandra, is this the first time you've seen them since you went to Kenya? Yeah. Have they grown?
Yep.
Yep. Are they as good as the Kenyan lions?
Better.
Better. Chandra, of course, for new viewers, has just spent, what was it, 10 days? A week? 10 days. 10 days in the Mara Triangle, filming live safaris there, and I'm sure he had a ball. I haven't actually even heard his tales yet. Been busy with other things. I'm sure he has plenty of stories to tell. Some that I imagine will be absolutely hilarious. Now the cubs and the lionesses are moving into some very dense vegetation, and I hope I have a special surprise for you up my sleeve. So we're actually going to leave the lions for now, and we will possibly Taylor might pop in. You'll have to ask her herself. Maybe she would like to come and take over the lion sighting. But I have to go somewhere else now. I'm not telling you where I'm going. So while I leave the lions, as they head off, I actually think they're going to disappear, as I head off out of the drainage line, let's go across to Taylor, find out what her plans are.
So we've changed our plan a little bit this afternoon. It seems as though Djuma's a little bit on the quiet side. So we've decided that we're going to head towards Arathusa and see perhaps if Tingana is not around. Now, last we heard he was somewhere on Simambili or the boundary of Arathusa, somewhere around there. And there's been no word of him since. So maybe he's moved. So we're going to go down and have a little scratch around. And maybe we get lucky, maybe we get to see him. Wouldn't that be wonderful? I saw him very briefly the other evening, not last night, I think it was the night before. As we closed down, just before I got back home, basically, he popped out in front of me. He's very cheeky, he was avoiding the cameras all day, obviously he was resting somewhere. So it'll be nice to see him, and he was looking a little bit on the thin side. So hopefully he's had a meal since then. But that is our plan for this afternoon. We're still searching for the spotted cat. We're not giving up just yet. That is, we're still quite far away. We're only on Cheetah cut line. So we're most likely going to go from Cheetah cut line. We'll go along Gowrie Main and then turn off when we get to Triple M. And then we'll hopefully get into Arathusa, and maybe there'll be something waiting for us. Oh, but we've got hornbills, and no, don't fly, we just want to look at you. One of them has got something in its mouth. No, not that one, the other one, but it's hard to see. Hopefully the other one comes and joins this one. You may hear them, another one clucking in the distance. I say clucking, they're not really chickens, but so that's what the sound reminds me of. Is that cluck, 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 cluck. There we go. Now let's see what that one's got in its beak. What? No, of course, typical that you're going to hide there. Nothing. You've obviously eaten whatever you had, and you didn't let us see what you ate. That's very rude. I can't imagine what they would have found in this miserable weather, because there's not a lot of insects around, unfortunately. But the two of these yellow-billed hornbills seem to be hopping around quite happily on the marula, as you can see. They really are hopping and very active. Remember the last cold day we had that very miserable looking hornbill that had its head buried just about into its chest and trying to keep out of the cold weather. But luckily we don't have too much wind. It's just a bit windy when we drive, and then it gets cold, but it's actually quite pleasant at the moment. Having a quick groom, always got to keep those feathers in check. Never know who could be waiting around the next corner. Cleaning the beak. Well, they're all both of them are grooming themselves. Just taking a moment to practice hygiene. There we go. That's lovely how that one has spread its feather out, its wing, like that. You can see all the different feathers now, all the different lengths. It's quite beautiful, those little spots that they have on their wings. You don't really notice them until they ruffle them up and they show as individuals. Comical birds. Having a great old time. Making sure they get every nook and cranny. You look lovely and clean. You're going to open your wing as well? No, just going to groom on the outside. Right, lovely hornbills. However, we are chasing the sun this evening. Not that there is very much sun, unfortunately. I don't think we're going to see a sunset at all. But I would like to get to Arathusa before it... Oh, okay. Wendy, we've had this conversation. Sorry, I just need to have a quick talking to with Wendy. Now, I've told you, we've taken you to the doctor, and we've had you to have a look at, but you're still giving me problems today. That's not good. Come on, Wendy. Wendy's behaving again. Sorry, everybody, that you had to see me giving Wendy a talking to. I don't like to normally do that in front of other people. It's not very nice. I don't like to get shouted at when everybody else is watching me. Sorry, Wendy, but you needed to have a good chatting too. But we're not going to go to Arathusa, everybody. I'm changing my mind. Oh, wait, hang on. We might not have to go anywhere. We've got some zebra up ahead. Zebra, please don't run. No, and of course they're running now because they've seen me, obviously, because that seems to be what zebra do when they see me. They're just rolling in. And off they go. Just two. Oh, have a look at the zebra that's coming in at the back. Now, this zebra does not look very well, I'm afraid. Can you see that? See how the mane is starting to flop over the side, looking quite thin? Now, remember how we always tell you that when a zebra is unhealthy, you don't look at how lovely and round the gut is. You actually look at the mane at the zebra. And if that mane is standing upright, you know that they are fit and healthy. However, if it starts to flop to the side, like we're seeing here, it means that they could be ill. Now, I'm not sure what's wrong with this zebra. I'm not a zebra doctor or a vet, unfortunately. It does look just slightly malnourished. I'm starting to see the hips. It could be anything, really. And what happens is that there's a fatty tissue that's below the mane that we can't see, and that's the first thing that deteriorates as the zebra becomes ill. Well, you're lucky now. There's lots of nice green grass. You better eat up and you better get better soon, otherwise you're going to become lion food. Right. Come on, Wendy. Now, okay, so we're not going to Arathusa anymore. I've changed my mind. Very indecisive today. Rebecca says I'm not allowed to go to Arathusa. She's very strict this afternoon. So we're going to carry on bumbling around here. What do we think? Do you think we should go and have a quick look at Cheetah Plains? Who thinks we should go to Cheetah Plains, or who thinks we should stay bumbling around on Djuma? I'd like to hear from you. You can either hashtag Safari Live, or you could even send us an email, questions at WildEarthTV. I'm going to take it very slowly, so I don't go too far. And whoever says yay or nay first, that's what I'll do. So I'm waiting, because we're coming up to the boundary, whether we should stay on Djuma or if we should go left to Cheetah Plains. What do we think, everyone? What do we think? No leopard tracks here, unfortunately. I've been dangling my head off the side of the vehicle, looking at the ground, hoping to see something, but I haven't. Just checking here. I can see some fresh elephant dung up in the distance, but no elephants just yet. Excuse me. Right, everyone, we're still waiting to hear what we should do. Should I go to Cheetah Plains? Oh, hang on. What do we have here? That's a hard track to try and see. The windblown's a bit old, but it does look like a hyena track. That was a tricky one, with it being so blown around. Now, there's lots of elephant footprints. I suspect that goes with that fresh elephant dung that is in front of the road, that you can see those little piles of poop. There they are. Oops. Now we're going to try not to drive onto one. And I think those elephants have unfortunately crossed out. Right, am I staying? Am I going? What's happening? I haven't heard from anybody. Cheetah Plains it is. That's what the little bird whispered in my ear. Let's go and bumble around and see what we can find on Cheetah Plains this afternoon. Hopefully we'll get lucky. Maybe we get to see Quarantine. I'd quite like to see him. I know he seems to hang around on Nkoro quite a bit. Possibly he comes across just to pop his head in and say hello Taylor and introduce himself. I believe he's quite a polite gentleman. Maybe we get to even see some cheetah. But we're definitely going to head to the most eastern boundary and have a look on those beautiful open plains to see if anybody's around there. Now I know Brent had some cheetah tracks. I think it was it yesterday afternoon? I can't remember. These days all feel like the same. They go so quickly, they sort of merge into one. Maybe we don't even get to Cheetah Plains. Maybe there's a whole lot of animals around here. Right, I've got my eyes wide and open, scanning the surroundings. Oh, a giraffe! Told you we're never going to get to Cheetah Plains at this rate, which is great for us. Sorry, VM, I keep putting the brakes on quite hard, and VM keeps nearly coming over the front and joining me in the front seat. Now, I don't know if you're going to see this giraffe, but there it is. It's moving away from us, unfortunately. But there is a giraffe indeed, and it looks like a young male giraffe. Now, where's the rest of your friends, or are you on your own? You see it's a very young male. Not quite too tall yet. I reckon he's probably not more than between 5 and 7 years old. Fairly young, still probably only about 3 meters tall, which is quite tall, but a big male giraffe can reach a height of about 5.5 meters. And that was just a very quick glimpse of a giraffe. I'm afraid it is now disappearing into the distance. Let's see if we can maybe get one more look. Wendy. Now, Wendy is loving the revving at the moment. No, don't do that again. So she has to have the Storm Turking to Rebecca, did you say keen with a K? I didn't quite hear that. Oh, Queen, sorry. I'm trying to get another look at this drive. Now, Queen, thank you for being quite concerned about myself and VM, and you're wanting to know what happens if the vehicle stalls and we're near an animal. Well, I'm hoping that doesn't happen. That's why we're going to be keeping our distance from everything this afternoon, just in case we do, because Wendy's a little bit sick. We're trying to figure out what the problem is, but the specialist doctors are soon going to come and see her. We just went to a local GP, and it seems as though they haven't been able to solve the problem. So Wendy had a bit of reconstruction done on her today, but it seems like she needs some more TLC. But never fear, we will be all right. And that's why I said we're definitely going to keep our distance. We won't be going and having elephants surround us this afternoon. Now, in looking at this lovely tall giraffe, I said he's not quite fully grown just yet. He's still got quite a bit of growing to do. He's definitely not mating with any of the ladies just yet. But if you watch him, how carefully he picks on the tree. Now, a lot of the trees that this giraffe is actually feeding on have got big thorns. Most of the trees have got weapons in the form of a thorn out here in the African bush. And I must tell you, the thorns obviously don't really harm the giraffe. They are able to pick around them. But what those thorns do is that it slows the rate at which the giraffe will feed on the leaves. And then hopefully the giraffe will move off as well. And then also, with all those thorns around, they're not able to eat all the leaves. They can only just pick and choose a few without getting poked and prodded. And then they have to move off. So you'll see they don't munch on those leaves for very long. And that's also got to do with all the tannins that are being released in some of the species of trees. Is when they are being eaten, they're being attacked. And they release those pheromones to make the leaves taste nice and bitter.